Thank you very much, Chairman. I'd like just to support Mrs McGuinness in what she said about organic farming. I've been looking quite closely at organic arable farms in the east of England on a fairly large scale, and you can split these enterprises, these farms, into 3 zones. Zone 1 is quite a respectable looking wheat crop. It hasn't cost much to produce. It won't yield particularly heavily, but it will get a good premium price, and that will be a good business deal for the farmer. That's Zone A. Zone B are large areas of land put down to clover, fertility building, apparently. This Zone B doesn't produce very much food at all. They may make a bit of silage. Then we get to Zone C. That's a disaster zone. That's where you see the arable crop completely submerged in a bed of thistles, or you see it plastered in funguses, or you see it crawling with aphids. That crop won't be worth harvesting because the cost of harvesting will be more than the value of the crop. We cannot extrapolate this sort of thing on a large scale and say it's going to save the world. There is a role for organic farming. Yes, you get a bit of biodiversity. And yes, some of the research they do on insect resistance, etc., we may need one day. But it's not the route we can go down to feed the world. My good old friend climate change has come up yet again. I think this committee should be aware where all this nonsense has come from. It's come from somewhere called the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change. They have been fed their information by scientists who reside in my part of the world. Now, these scientists have come to a conclusion and then tried to make the facts fit it. Fortunately, 1,000 of their emails were leaked about a year ago, and I urge this committee to read those emails, and you will see how determined those individuals were to try and make sure that their version of the truth got to the panel and nobody else was allowed to get there. Now, we are taking this as fact, all this climate change rubbish. And how are the politicians reacting to it? Well, we saw that in a committee here earlier this year. We're told that tractors must pump carbon dioxide into the ground. We're told we must feed ruminant animals less grass and more grain. Well, of course, carbon dioxide, far from being a poison, is vital to plants. They cannot survive without it. In addition, plants in a carbon dioxide-rich atmosphere are more resistant to drought. I can explain that later. I can't do it now. Water has come up at this meeting. Carbon dioxide-rich atmosphere will help plants resist drought. Now we go on to the question of drought again, how to produce food, etc., where politicians cannot change the weather. What we can do is encourage scientists to produce plants that might manage the weather a little bit better. It's called biotechnology. Again, far from being something to be frightened of, it's something that's actually quite useful. And you can get plants that are drought resistant. An answer to the question of water. I urge this committee, please, to be practical, not to fool around with organic farming, not to fool around with climate change, but allow scientists to do their job and we can progress like that. Thank you very much.
Mulțumim. Cristof